welcome back and happy December. Man, I can't believe it's already December of this crazy year. Um, Honestly, it didn't feel like it was that too long ago that we went into lockdown, and I remember I just came back from a trip to the East Coast, and literally like a day or two afterwards, my work was like, "Hey, time to shut down and grab all your stuff and just go home. Work remotely." So, um, man, that was March, and honestly, like, I can't believe that was 9 months ago, and we're wrapping up the year here in December. And I just want to say that it's been a tough year for everyone. And I just want to say that for me, I feel like I've been very lucky, just in terms of everything, my health, my job, and just everything. I try to remind myself to be grateful, for everything, despite it being a really tough situation for everyone. So, okay, so today I want to talk about New Year's resolutions. So, this is one of those things that maybe about 5, 6, 7 years ago, I think every time when December came around, I was one of those people that wrote down a bunch of goals for the new year and things that I want to do and things I want to accomplish, and just certain goals, right? There's this like newfound sense of like urge and motivation to just like improve. Typically, what ends up happening is halfway into the new year or whatever, like I'm like, oh, I remember like this piece of paper or like this like Google Doc that I made like 6 months prior, and it looks like I haven't touched it since like January. So I think what ends up happening is like a lot of the goals that I put as my resolution, a lot of them I don't even touch those goals. Like I haven't done anything. And there are other goals where like maybe I'll touch it like a few times. I'll do like a couple of things for like a week, and then it's like, oh, okay, that's like gone now, right? And that pattern kind of was the thing like for like a number of years. And I think like throughout the past maybe 4 or 5 years or so, after having like made this like repeating cycle of mistakes, I guess, I did learn a few things about why approaching like the new year with New Year's resolution is pretty pointless, and that there's a better way to approach it. So, New Year's resolution, like how we should be thinking about it is, it's a question of motivation versus commitment. So, I'm pretty sure this is for most people out there. When you think about New Year's resolutions, usually what we feel is it like a surge of motivation and enthusiasm and just wanting to like do and like accomplish like all these things, and we're just like freaking pumped, right? Especially like if you think about 2020, obviously we know how hectic and insane this year has been, right? I'm sure you've seen all the internet memes like, oh, please, like, can 2020 be over? It's, in a sense, it's kind of like, thank God it's Friday or whatever. So yeah, in a lot of ways, like it's especially true for this year. Like people just want to get the year over with and start the new year. So I think the ineffective way to approach New Year's resolutions or just goals in general is it's easy to feel motivated, but it's really difficult to stay committed or even be committed. I've talked about this before in prior videos where I basically said that motivation is pretty pointless because motivation is a temporary feeling. Like you're motivated to eat healthy, or you're motivated to go to the gym, or you're motivated to like do work or be productive for however long, right? But like all feelings in life, they come and go. So it's kind of like, well, if you don't feel motivated to do the thing, then what happens next? Are you gonna just not do it? What if you don't feel motivated for like an entire week or like a whole month, right? So if you have a goal or a resolution of, oh hey, like I want to lose 10 pounds within like a month or something, but it's cold and raining in January, so you're not motivated. So what? Like you're just not gonna do it, right? So I think that's when commitment is actually the thing that matters. Like say, like the losing weight, for example. Like if like you're not as healthy as you want to be or could be, but you are very committed to your health and well-being, motivation is not going to matter that much anymore because you're committed to your health and being your best self. And from that, like getting healthier means you get more energy, which means you show up for your family and friends more alive and energetic and all those things, right? So commitment is really the question to be asking yourself. Like what goals or what resolutions that you would want to have in your life where it's so important to you that you're gonna do it regardless of like how motivated or not motivated you're feeling. So like for me, like health and fitness and working on building my business are things that are really important to me. So yes, like there are some weeks that I barely put in any effort into these, but like on average, over the span of the entire year, I put in a lot of time and effort and energy into these endeavors, like week after week, basically, because these are things that matter to me and they matter to my future. And, I am committed to doing these things. And trust me, like a lot of times I don't want to do shit. Like I'm not motivated to do these things a lot of the times, but they're important to me and I'm committed to them. So that's why I do it. And the second point I want to make is that a lot of the goals and resolutions that we make, they're kind of unrealistic. And what I mean by that is not unrealistic in the sense that like you are not capable of achieving them. I think everyone's way more capable than they think. What I mean by being realistic is that if you think about typically how people set up their New Year's resolutions, right? A lot of times it's like I'll have, people will have like 10 different things they want to do. They want to lose weight, like make more money, I don't know, like, build like a crazy successful business, grow to like 100,000 subscribers on YouTube or like Instagram or whatever the goal may be, right? Usually it's more than just like one or two goals. I feel like I may be wrong, but for me, like there's like 10 or 20 goals, right? And that's really unrealistic because in a lot of ways, like each of these goals, to start like working on them and implementing them in your life, like each goal is kind of like practicing a new habit. So say if I never like gone to the gym before, and my goal is like, oh, I'm gonna like lose so much weight and hit the gym like 4 times a week. Okay, so like that in itself is already a big commitment, and it's like a brand new endeavor, right? So if you have different goals for like different areas of your life, like finances, relationship, like money, whatever. Oh wait, I said that. Like health or whatever. So you gotta think about like each of those goals is basically like creating a new habit. And I don't know about you guys, but for me, like having or creating and getting into the rhythm of one new habit, it's already challenging enough. So for you to start like 5 different habits, 10 different habits simultaneously and expect yourself to maintain that is pretty unrealistic. And I would say, if you feel like you can do that, one, you are either an insane, disciplined human being, or you're just running on your feelings of motivation and pumped upness. Like, if you are able to create and maintain and practice consistently 10 habits simultaneously, like let me know, because if you do, like props to you, but I still want to know. So yeah, that's why I think having so many lofty goals at the same time is quite unrealistic, and why a lot of people, myself included, fail at a lot of these goals. And just also a side note, but a really relevant note, is that a lot of the times when we set these goals, it's out of like, I kind of want it, but like I don't necessarily need it. So that level of necessity isn't actually there. Say if I am working a job and I'm living comfortably and no like major stressors in my life, and let's say I make like 50K a year, right? I'm like, oh, okay, I want to double that next year as my goal. But I'm living like comfy, right? So it's like it would be nice to have, but I think that level of urgency and necessity isn't there to really drive like most people, like with that sense of like urgency, like I need to get it done like now, ASAP, right? I think that would be a really different story if, say, you were fired from a job and you're like, well, I either starve and live in the streets, or I better like bust my ass applying for jobs like 40 hours a week, So I think this is also a point where that like I want to make, where a lot of the times when we make goals, it's out of like just wants and desires, but I think the level of urgency isn't necessarily there, unless it's like life or death situation, or you're just that disciplined. All right, another point why resolutions typically fail is because we don't see it as a habit. I think the perfect example of this is, why do people wait until January 1st to start working on their goals? Like, what makes it so, like what makes it a requirement that you have to wait until like January 1st to start doing the thing, right? So I think that's also why a lot of people like fail, is that we like don't see it as like a habit. We just think of it like oh well, I'm gonna like do this task at like this time. Like I don't know, it's so I don't know if it's the right word, but like arbitrary. And it's not like, we don't have goals and desires, throughout the year, right? It's like we could be working for these toward these things like anytime, So I think to kind of limit ourselves into this way of thinking of like, oh well, I'm only gonna do this, when the new year comes, right? So I think for a higher chance of success for your, resolutions working out for you, start now. Like, start writing down your goals now. Start visualizing now. Start planning now. And start taking action now. Also, think about how cool it'll be for January 1st to come around and you have earned the right to say, oh, well, I started on, multiple goals like 3 weeks ago already. So, in a way, it's kind of like you're hacking life, right? You're giving yourself a head start, which for that sounds pretty cool. And I just want to also acknowledge, like, I understand that January 1st or like the new year is it's kind of like a fresh start, right? It's kind of like a clean slate. It's like leave all the bullshit behind, and 2021 comes and I'm gonna start like working on these things, right? So I get it. In a way, it's kind of like a mental reset type of thing, and that's fine, but I just encourage you to start now, and just start now and start visualizing, start planning, and start doing something like small so that you can have some wins before the year is even over, so you go into the new year already winning, and you will go into the new year with momentum, right? Instead of starting on January 1st, you're going into January 1st already doing the thing with momentum. So yeah, I mean, that's all I had to share today. And yep, until next time.